Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're gonna tackle one of the very basic foundational elements of mechanical keyboards, and that is the comparison of clicky versus tactile versus linear switches, and just some basic information about that. We'll also include some sound tests of the different clicky, tactile, and linear switches that we've used, and then you guys can compare and contrast for yourself, and then comment down below which clicky, linear, or tactile switches do you really like, and out of all three, which one do you prefer the most? Let's get started with clicky switches. So clicky switches are, as the name implies, they're clicky. They have a tactile bump and they have a loud, clicky, audible sound through a specific mechanism that produces that sound when you press the switch. And that's through, there's three different ones. There's the click jacket, which is what you see in Cherry MX Blues and Cherry MX Blue clones. They click through the extra sleeve that surrounds the switch under the stem, and when you click, that sleeve moves along with the switch and then produces that click. It will only click on the downward stroke. On the way back up, it does not. So here's the sound test of Cherry MX Blues, Oetemu Blues, and Razer Green switches. And then the second mechanism to produce a clicky switch is through the click bar, and this is through a literal metal bar that sits within the switch that gets plucked like a guitar string. When you either click down or go back up, it clicks both ways, which makes it very crisp and amazing to type and hear. We have a visual of this through one of Kale's advertisement videos of their click bar switches, and I'll just scroll that up right here. It's super cool. It's a very short animation. And then with the switches that have this mechanism are usually Kale box switches. For example, the box navies, box jades, box whites, speed coppers, and box pale blues. It's engaged twice, once down and once up, and it produces a very crisp and a very sharp sound. These are my favorite. And then the third mechanism is a click leaf with the Alps switches. I don't have any experience with these switches, but I'm sure there are typing tests of these switches around on the internet, so I'm going to recommend you look those up if you're interested in that mechanism. The second type of switch is a tactile switch, and these are a tactile bump, so you get to feel when right before it actuates. Usually it happens before it actuates, with no audible sound. The sounds that come from typing with tactile switches come from either bottoming out or the bump sound, depending on how tactile and loud the switch is. Some examples of this are the Cherry MX Browns and all of its clones, the Oetemu Browns, the Gateron Browns, the Kale Browns, and there's MX Clears and Halo Clears, and of course there's a whole ton of other tactile switches out there. I recommend you go to Novelkeys and really explore all the different switches that they sell and have to offer. They're where we buy our switch testers from and just explore different switches. So very cool. Out of all three, tactile is probably my favorite. However, the third category, linear switches, have been growing on me a whole lot. So linear switches have no bump. They're consistent motion on the way down and on the way back up. So you don't get to feel where the switch actuates, and these switches are said to be preferred by most gamers because they feel the tactile bump distracts them away from the gameplay. So examples of these are in most gaming keyboards, for example the HyperX Reds, SteelSeries Reds, GX Reds from Logitech. There's Cherry MX Reds, Gateron Reds, and Logitech also makes the red switches for their Pro X switches lineup as well. So a lot of different variety from linear switches. There's a different variety of spring force as well that you can get, so you can vary the heaviness of the switch, and that all comes down to preference, so it's up to you. So one thing to note is that the sound of a keyboard is a combination of a variety of different things. So not just the switch itself. It's the combination of the switch, of course, whether it's clicky, tactile, or linear, how heavy it is, what the mechanism is, but the case material also matters, and the design. How much empty space is there in the case? What's it made out of? Is it plastic? Is it aluminum? Is it brass? Is it a combination? Whether the keyboard has a floating keycap design or not, does it keep the sound in and does it let it echo or does it let it go ring out? Whether the keycaps matter, whether it's ABS or PBT, the different thicknesses and the different shape of the keycap as well. And then we also have the fact whether the switch is lubed or not. And then when we think about stabilizers, are the stabilizers lubed or modded or not? All of these things combine together to create the sound that you hear when you hear a keyboard typing test. So not necessarily just a switch, because the sounds you hear from just clicking the switch by itself when it's not connected to anything is way different than the sound of it within a keyboard with keycaps and you're typing away like you normally do. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any additional questions, feel free to post them down below. And also, what's your favorite switch? I hope this was helpful. I'm gonna link you guys to some more informational videos about mechanical keyboards that we have here, and then link you to all of our mechanical keyboard sound typing tests only, where you don't have to hear me talk at all here. And subscribe here if you want to. I'll see you in the next one.